So are these the topics we're going to be talking about today?
You have actually a couple of extra ones in here, like the Leave the World Behind trailer. Do you want to talk about that?
Well, I mean, dude, we might not be able to do this if there's a cyber attack coming. I mean, we didn't even talk about that yet. How's the world going to know if they don't hear about us again?
This is true. What about to note? There's another variant of the COVID virus as well.
Dude, we're done on COVID. I don't want to get shadow banned. Migration, cough. Wait, did we update this?
All right. What is up? Welcome to the J&J podcast. This is episode number 13. You just heard us talking about the topics that we're going to be talking about. My name is Josh Lewis. Super excited to have you guys here. If you've not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. We're talking everything from current news, media, current events, and business as well. Jeff, we're going to get into some topics, but before we get into some topics, how are you? How's your day?
Hey, much better now. Much better. If you can hear me. There we are. We're right here. I was sending the link to Alex. Shout out to Alex. He is from Irish, and he was just like, man, I can't believe I'm working with a billionaire. So I figured, or a millionaire. And I said, well, hey, I'm a future billionaire. Better than Bezos, man. Jeff the entrepreneur, Jeff T. Cunningham. By the way, we never even talked about it, but Bezos is following me. Jeff Bezos, he moved right to South Beach. He got a house over there. So he's not too far. And it's funny why I started my Instagram name is Jeff the Entrepreneur was better than Bezos. So we'll see, man. He was just on, we didn't even talk about that. I didn't even get to watch. He was on my buddy Lex Friedman's podcast. Did you watch any of that?
I watched some of it. All right. So some of the topics we're going to talk about today are, so Ron DeSantis says that he will not follow Vivek Ramaswamy's lead and withdraw from the Colorado primary if Donald Trump is not on the ballot. Also, the Supreme Court rejects the prosecutors, basically their initial way of requesting to get Trump off the ballot. And Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick suggests that they remove Biden from the ballot in Texas 2024. We're going to be talking about the migration woes caught on video. This is pretty crazy. We're also going to be talking about the airports that are overwhelmed with migrants being transferred across the United States. And do you know, I think it's yesterday was the 2-year anniversary. Do you know what yesterday was the 2-year anniversary of?
2-year. I do not. What was it?
It was the 2-year anniversary since the White House declared a winter of death and suffering for the unvaccinated. 2 years ago, they declared that in a press release, and also Biden said it as well.
Which is crazy because it was Trump's vaccine and nobody would take it. Trump got it to the thing, and then they're pushing it, which is just there's something's not adding up right there.
Yeah, honestly, at this point, I think it's just one of those things that is, it was just, everybody was in bed with Big Pharma. I don't care who it was, but they were just.
By the way, will we take them as a sponsorship money? I was at the RFK town hall with my man, PBD, and PBD asked, hey, would you take a sponsorship with Moderna? By the way, speaking of which, guys, like, subscribe, and share this out to anybody else. This is where we just, we're trying to get the truth out to the people with the takes. We're going to take on people of all opposing sides. We'll have guests on. I know, Josh, we've had multiple guests now ask. I created our sponsorship deck. We'll figure out what sponsorships we want as we're moving this around. I know Aturo, we have Alexa, the health insurance person. I know we got on a whole this morning about health insurance. Maybe we'll get into that later on. But I just want to let you guys know, click like, subscribe, and share this. This is the podcast of future billionaires, future millionaires, and freedom for the J&J podcast. Two brothers, one story at a time. So, Josh, why don't we get into today's first story?
Today's first story, I want to get into something that I think is just interesting, and I want to hear your point of view on this, because this is something that, to be honest, I think there's different schools of thought, and I don't think anybody's necessarily right or wrong to this, but this is basically Ron DeSantis saying that he will not follow Vivek Ramaswamy's lead and withdraw from the Colorado primary if Donald Trump is not on the ballot. So in case you guys have been underneath a rock, Colorado voted that Donald Trump would not be on the ballot, meaning people could not vote for Donald Trump in the election in Colorado. So he was just removed from the ballot. And Ron DeSantis was on Newsmax, and he was asked about this, and this is what he had to say. Hold on one second. I want to make sure that we can hear what we're saying. Give me 1 second. Okay, perfect. All right, we can hear it. All right, here we go.
And real quick, fellow GOP 2024 presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy saying he will remove himself from the Colorado ballot unless Trump's eligibility is restored. Would you do the same?
No, I think that's just playing into the left. I think the case will get overturned by the Supreme Court, but I've qualified for all the ballots. I'm competing in all the states, and I'm going to accumulate the delegates necessary. That's the whole name of the game in this situation. But I do anticipate that decision was political and will get reversed.
All right, Governor Ron DeSantis, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon.
So what are your thoughts on that?
So I think he's right, by the way. I do think it will get reversed. I do believe, looking into the subject of it, and Tom said this on the PBD podcast. He's like, man, do you see him do the math wrong? He said 4 out of 3. Yeah, Tom, not to take shots at your math, but he's like 6 out of 2. It wasn't 6-2. No, that'd be 7. But long story short, he said that, it's a very liberal Supreme Court, and at a 4 out of 3, the fact that it went by a skin margin, there's no way this goes on in the Supreme Court. Trump adjusted Supreme Court people, and that's the rule of thumb. But here's the thing: I didn't think we'd be here talking about this, and I think that's the cop out. That's the easy way to say, "Oh well, we're not going to be there, so I can stay in." Right? That's what he's trying to do. But listen, Ron DeSantis, the sanctimonious, as Trump calls him, he's in it for himself, man. He wants to win no matter what. So one thing that I like about Vivek, how Vivek communicated it, is he basically said, hey, this would be easier if Trump's not in it, but I'm going to stand by and do what's right for it, because we cannot use anything politically charged to disbar a candidate, which is exactly what's happening in America right now. This is something that I thought we'd see in other countries, and it's happening right now. And listen, there's plenty of reasons not to like Trump. I'm with you if you guys are listening on this. I get it, okay? I know why Elon doesn't like him. Listen, there's things I don't like about Trump. With that said, once you're using politically charged stuff, and I don't care if there was right or wrong stuff, and I don't mean I don't care. I do care. But it's very transparent that the guy is the favorite in the polls. Most of America knows they're using stuff to disbar him. And then when you have the political rivals of him, Vivek was first to say, hey, I think everybody should step down from the ballot. I'm going to do that. And to have Ron DeSantis lukewarm on it, saying, well, they're not going to do this, is just, it's him he hopes Trump's not in it. His whole thought process, and Ron, if you're listening to this, is Trump's out of it. I'm number one, because he's been doing, to quote Trump, you've been dwindling. I can't even do a Trump imitation. He's been dwindling in the polls, okay? All the way down where Nikki Haley, who's getting.
He's been dwindling. I walked in and I said, wow, he's been dwindling.
Yeah. So he's actually losing everything going forward there.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think honestly, the play that Ron DeSantis just made right there, I think is the smart play. It's saying, hey, don't buy into the left. And it almost puts Vivek on his heels, because it seems like Vivek is being on his heels of, man, maybe I am playing into the left. So I thought it was a smart move by DeSantis. Now, regardless if any of these things are going to hold water, these charges and what is going to happen, we will find out. But that's going to go. I want to bring us into our next story, which is going to be basically the Supreme Court rejects Jack Smith's request for justice is to quickly hear Trump immunity dispute. So we're going to get into that and what that means, because this is quite interesting.
Dude, how does Trump get in the news every single time?
Well, he's still running for president, and they're trying to actively remove him from running for president. So whether the media likes it or not, which I think they do like it, he's going to be in the news. So this is a CNN story. The Supreme Court on Friday rejected a request by special counsel Jack Smith to fast-track arguments on whether Donald Trump You okay?
Yeah, I was trying to go live. He's a Gemini. That's what someone said about Trump. When we're live on Instagram, there we go. Peter's in here. Peter might be a guest on there. That's the guy I showed.
Any immunity from federal prosecution for alleged crimes he committed while in office. Can you pay attention?
I'm sorry. I know I do this sometimes. I'm trying to get live on Instagram, guys. Go link in bio. DM something. Continue with the story.
Hey, this is not good for our audience.
Okay.
So anyway, because I was reading the story. Now they have no idea where we're at right now, because I don't even know where I'm at. Basically, the Supreme Court on Friday has rejected a request by special counsel Jack Smith to fast-track arguments on whether Donald Trump has any immunity from federal prosecution for alleged crimes he committed while in office, a move that will likely delay his trial. So in other words, the Supreme Court rejected the request, saying, hey, listen, you're not going to be able to fast-track any arguments if Donald Trump has any immunity from federal prosecution. So why would they want to do that? The court didn't explain its reasoning, and there were no noted dissents. The court's decision is a major blow to Smith, who made an extraordinary gamble when he asked the justices to take the rare step of skipping a federal appeals court and quickly deciding a fundamental issue in his election subversion criminal case against Trump. Both sides will still have the option of appealing an eventual ruling by the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals up to the High Court, but the court's move is a major victory for Trump, whose strategy of delay in the criminal case included mounting a protracted fight over the immunity question, which must be settled before his case goes to trial. An expedited review of the issue is already underway at the D.C. Circuit, which is scheduled to oral arguments for January 9th. The election subversion trial is currently set to begin in March. This is where we wrap things up in this story. The real question is what happens then, said Steve Vladek, CNN Supreme Court analyst and professor of the University of Texas Law School of Law. Assuming the Court of Appeals rejects Trump's claim, will it keep the trial on hold pending further review from the Supreme Court, or will allow the trial to go forward and force Trump to seek a stay from the Supreme Court? It's still possible that the trial begins on March 4th, but the Supreme Court's apparent willingness to let the D.C. Circuit go first makes it at least somewhat and perhaps significantly less likely. And urging the court to not take the case, Trump's attorneys argued the special counsel was trying to rush to decide the issues with reckless abandon. The fact this case arises in the vortex of political dispute warrants caution, not haste. So basically what's going on is they are trying to push forward this case without all of the facts. So from my understanding of this, what this looks like is basically if you have enough time to prepare for a case, let's say, Jeff, I'm accusing you of something, and you have enough time to prepare for that case. You have 2 months, and I try and push it up. I'm doing that because I want to make you unprepared. Because if you have a month to prepare and I only give you a week to prepare, man, that is your arguments are going to be thin and shoddy. So basically, that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to push it up, and the Supreme Court said no. Let them take their time. And the only flaw that I see to this happening is this doesn't get thrown out. If let's say Trump's side has enough time to prepare, it can get thrown out. The flaw that I see that happening is this can get dragged on. And not only can it get dragged on, but it can get dragged on well and to the point of where we're having an election and we don't even know if Trump is still going to be convicted or not.
Yeah, no, let me ask you this. Gut feeling. Do you think Trump will be on the ballot in 2024, yes or no?
I think no. Gut feeling is saying.
Dude, right? They're doing everything. Listen, we got to a vote in.
And that's such a kangaroo court way to look at it. Like me, initially, I look at things that sound like so hyperbolic and I go, there's no way that's going to happen. But when you asked me that question, I was like, it doesn't feel like they're trying to do everything they possibly can. Logically, I can't see how they would get him off the ballot without making him.
Logically, I think he upstands everything. The Supreme Court holds everything. It just logically, there's not enough on that to do that, right?
It will also put it this way: 74 million people voted for Trump in the last election. So if you remove him from the ballot, that means you piss off 74 million Americans. So does that mean they're trying to create a civil war? Because if you do that and you have
that's exactly what that means. So with everything with the cyber attack coming looming and everything going on, that's why I'm so thankful that we can do this show and be speaking on all platforms. Thank you X, thank you Twitter, thank you YouTube, thank you for all those rooms. We'll probably be on Rumble eventually, but it's crazy, man. Yeah, no, it's insane. The fact that my gut feeling is no, Trump will not be on the ballot. Logically, it seems like he is. Dude, that's why when I said, and man, I wish I was a billionaire because then I could just, if I was a billionaire, I would 100%, I had $3 billion in the bank, I'd 100% just declare I'm running. But then it's almost like, why even? Because like right now, like look at Vivek, or even RFK, both of these guys who are speaking for a point of truth have both been disbarred by their parties. Vivek, they've taken everything down and they won't fund him. Ronald McDonald, right? Ron, she's basically said, hey, we're not going to give you any more of the RNC money.
We'll give you one more red cent.
And then the reason why RFK left the Democrat Party that he loves, and I met RFK, nice guy. Dude, it almost kills me to see how they're treating him. Very similar how they treated Bernie Sanders, okay? Which my buddy Peter's on here, if he's watching live too. So it's funny because it's almost like, why even run? Why even put myself through all that to run when at the end of the day, they just pick who they want anyway. And for some way, Trump got through one house some way because I don't think they picked Trump. They didn't think he was winning. They thought Hillary wasn't the thing. Trump wound up winning. And now there's been a end-all haul to get him out. The Russian collusion hoax, the COVID, the Hunter Biden laptop, everything going on. It's been a whole thing. And listen, there's definitely my reservations about Trump, but when there's so much, ammunition to get rid of one guy, which is happening even now, really makes me wonder. And then just Vivek was talking about Nikki Haley taking, and there's been a strong push in the mainstream media for Nikki Haley, okay, out there. And then you come out and find out that all these donors are making her money, and that's why they're pushing the candidates. So it's no longer we the people, it's we the donors and we the media who picks the appointment. That's what it is. It's the media and the donors who are picking these political opponents. But Trump was the only one who had money to not need the donors and to actually, really control the media in some point.
How do you think the Republicans handle this? What do you think? What's the best move for them to handle?
Dude, I say to everybody, are you Republican or are you Democrat? Are you fed up? I think most America's fed up. I don't trust the Republican Party in anything. The fact that they couldn't get a Speaker of the House in 4 days and they kept voting it off. And Mike McCarthy, that was a mess. The Republican Party is a mess, probably more than the Democratic Party. Republican Party is more a mess because Trump, Trump could start his own party right now. There's a Trump party. They call them Trump Republicans. Trump could have his own Trump card, okay, and start his own party. If anybody could, he could. The Republican Party is so divided about Trump. You have Matt Gaetz and Lauren, who are more on the Trump side, and you have everybody else who's against him, who just kind of is too afraid to talk against him, right? Unless Chris Christie and that guy, man, he's vindicated because Trump didn't make him one of his guys. Trump said that. It's so clear, right? Like him and Trump are almost like the same type of bully type character, okay, and I'll say that. And the fact that Trump won and didn't pick Chris Christie's bitter, and he's running against him with everything going forward. However, Republicans are going to screw it up like they always do. Democrats are so common and connected. There's the old school good Democrats like the JFKs and the RFKs who actually generally like America and they have a little socialistic beliefs. There are them. And then there's the far left Democrats, which are the far left extreme that Bill Maher is even like, what's going on with these people, okay? And unfortunately, a lot of them control the media. A lot of them are influenced. I think a lot of them are ungodly, and that's why we're having, all the demonic evil stuff that you're seeing is from that side, and it's infiltrating, which is making people leave the Democratic Party and go to the Republican Party.
This is what I think. I think this. If I'm in the Republican Party, how do I get to a point where I can influence other people? I'll tell a quick story. So I remember when I first took over a restaurant, and it was very stressful. Half of the back of the house in the kitchen, they did not like me, more than half. 90% of them didn't like me. But there was one time where one of the fire marshals showed up. Now, if you've never had a fire marshal or an inspection happen before, basically the people who do their inspections are really good at what they do, and their whole job is to nitpick everything. And it depends on the personality of the inspector. I have found from personal experience, usually inspectors or people who are going over everything with a fine-tooth comb tend to have a little bit of a Napoleon complex, and that can be not just in them being vertically challenged, but also mentally challenged in a way where the way that they can kind of get over on you is by telling you what you need to do. So at this point, the fire marshal came in and he started just nitpicking us and just going in. And he was doing it to me, and he was doing it, and there was another cook on the line. This needs to be moved over here. You see where this is at? See that gap right there? That could cause us a fire right here. This right here is a hazard. You really are going to put this over here? That's a hazard. I said, well, let's move it right now. Oh, I can't believe you have it right here right now. I mean, that's a hazard. I appreciate you sharing that with me. Let's move it over right now. We won't do it again, or better not do it again. That's a hazard. Your whole building could get shut down. Very rude guy. So after the guy leaves, now I've been there for only a couple of months. The cook that was on the line, I did not have good rapport with, but I looked at him. He looked at me, and I looked at him and just said, man, fuck that guy. And he laughed, and I laughed, and we shared a common bond. And we didn't get along, but as soon as I said that, all of a sudden, boom, bond was created, because we shared a common enemy. Had nothing to do with us. We shared a common enemy. I think if the Republican Party wants to gain any momentum, they need to stop infighting and figure out who their common enemy is. Who is the person that is threatening them of where they're going? Because what's happening is the Republican Party is so divided. They have no idea. It's like the Democrats are shooting themselves in the foot in a race, but the Republicans are just running the opposite way, thinking they're going to win the race. Either that, or the Republicans are in bed with half the other Democrat Party. But not to go full conspiracy theory, my whole thing is if you want to win, you need to unify your people. And if you don't know how to unify your people, if you're against each other and you're one person believes that, hey, we should have abortion, and the other person believes we shouldn't have abortion, but you're still Republicans, the way to get unified is to find a common enemy. Once you find a common enemy, you can give that 100% to agree upon and then be able to move forward. So having said that, let's jump into this next story because it's very similar of the story that we were just talking about. I think it's very interesting. First off, it's crazy that we even got to talk about this. But this is a breaking report from Leading Report saying Texas Governor Dan Patrick suggests removing Biden from the ballot in Texas in 2024. So Texas Governor Abbott signs bill making illegal immigration a state crime. People were pissed that he did this, but he did it because why? It's illegal. So he's now making a state crime. So Governor Dan Patrick said, we believe in democracy, but maybe we should take Joe Biden off the ballot in Texas for allowing 8 million people to cross the border since he's been president. Let's listen to what he has to say.
The Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick to deport them. Joining me now is the Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. Dan, now the White House said today that this law won't make communities safer. Your response?
So we spent a lot of time, Laura, in the Senate writing this bill. along with the governor. And we believe we have a bill that will survive any type of Supreme Court challenge because we are being invaded. Arizona tried this about 10 years ago, but our law is different. It simply says that our law enforcement can arrest anyone, take them in, do a background check, photograph, do fingerprints. If they saw them cross the border illegally, we can do that. Or if they happen to reveal in the arrest stop that they crossed illegally, and then the magistrate will send them back and will escort them to the border. And they have a choice. They can go to jail or they can go back. And if they go back and try to come back again and we arrest them again, the penalty gets even higher. We're fed up. In fact, seeing what happened in Colorado tonight, Laura, makes me think, except we believe in democracy in Texas, maybe we should take Joe Biden off the ballot in Texas for allowing 8 million people to cross the border since he's been president, disrupting our state far more than anything anyone else has done in recent history. And so this is so outrageous. 10,000, 12,000, 14,000 people a day crossing the border, 8 million
now,
people
the numbers,
since he's been in office, enough to be the 12th largest state.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
So one thing, I think he's being a bit like over dramatic or hyperbolic in that situation. Like, hey, let's remove President Biden off the ballot for Texas because he allowed 8 million people. But this is interesting. Tim Pool retweeted this. This is a story from the Boston Globe. Jeff, did you see this?
Tim Pool, Boston City Council pauses measure to allow non-citizens to vote in local elections.
Passes measure. Boston City Council passes measure to allow non-citizens to vote in local elections.
Damn, are you kidding me? Wait, who posted this?
So Tim Pool retweeted this. 10,000 illegals surging every day this month. We're already in the Civil War period. Fighting just hasn't started yet. So the Boston Globe posted this saying that, hey, Boston City Council passes measure to allow non-citizens to vote in local elections. And I want to get into the migration because we have a huge issue with migration. But one of the things that is becoming a conspiracy theory tends to be true. What does that mean? That means, wow, okay, so all of a sudden, we're going to let in thousands upon thousands of people, and now we're going to give them a right to vote. Why would we want to do that? Why? Just take Republican and Democrat out of it. Why are we giving these people a reason to say, hey, you can vote? What's the reasoning behind it?
The reasoning is very quick for that. It's because here, I got to mute somebody here. I'm trying to.
So this is what I think. The reasoning because of that is whatever happened in the past with the election with Trump and with Biden, whatever's happening right now is just a prelude to that. And it seems like a countermeasure that no matter what happens, they are going to stay in power who they have in power at the moment. Like everything is built up against it, up against not letting anybody else in power, including letting other people vote.
Yeah, no, 100%. And so here's the thing, Tim Pool, which you showed me, Josh, and it's funny because, so many times I've been out of the podcast political scene, PBD, Patrick Ben David got me into it, and I'm so proud to do the J&J podcast here with you. However, when we have moments like this, okay, when there's moments that are so egregious that people are actually trying to very, very much let a whole bunch of people in, to me, it's common sense. Hey, let's let a bunch of people in. Let's let them not vote. Let's not ask for voter requirement, although you need it for everything else, so we can sway it because it was so hard to stuff the ballots last time to get to 81 million votes for a vegetable who can barely walk around.
Let them vote, right?
Right, yeah, let them vote. Like this is exactly what the thing is. They're passing that non-citizens can vote. That means that I could vote in Florida and Connecticut, right? I'm from Connecticut. I go vote in both, right? They're just making it. They're doing every precaution. That's why, as much as like Trump is leading in the polls, which is just crazy, because listen, he wasn't leading when he won against Hillary. So the fact that he's leading now in Biden and then he won because they're so thwarted, right, is that, and I'm very curious to see where Vivek comes out because he's trailing the polls so much, but the guy's been outworking everybody in Iowa. I think when's the Iowa caucus? And it's January 6th? Or no, January 6th.
I think it's January 15th. I could be completely wrong about that. You could look it up. So this is crazy what is going on. I also want to share something that is on this. We're going to share two stories simultaneously because what has happened is this story is just crazy to me, to be honest. Jeff, I don't know if you've seen this, but this is nuts. Basically, this has to do with migrations and everything that's going on. Watch this.
This is on Twitter.
Where are you guys moving these kids to? Do you guys got paperwork for these kids?
Don't worry about it.
You know, a third of these kids go missing.
Sorry.
You guys know anything about this?
That happens every day.
About these guys moving these kids to the airport?
Yeah.
Straight up.
It's America.
Welcome to America. Yo, what are you guys doing? I could film in this public place, brother.
Put that away.
Where are you guys moving these kids to?
None of your business, bro.
Where are you guys moving these kids to?
For a second.
Wow.
You know how odd this is?
Dude, it's so odd.
This guy does this to hold up the camera so he can't see him. And then he realizes, oh shit, that's got something on it I don't want him to see.
Put that away.
Where are you guys moving these kids to?
None of your business, bro.
Where are you guys moving these kids to?
Wow, can you go back and see what's on that?
Yeah, it's hard to see. People have been trying to
Well,
blow
it's
it up.
but it's like you have something to hide. Like the guy's totally showing that he has something to hide.
Right, he's trying to block his face. And then on that is basically it's saying verification of release, Oscar, I can't see the name, acknowledgement of the sponsor care agreement, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Office of Refugee Settlement. So he's trying to show it, and he's saying, hey, this guy's saying I can film. This is a public place. I don't know if you can hear the volume.
Film in this public place, brother.
Put that away.
Where are you guys moving these kids to?
None of your business, bro.
Where are you guys moving these kids to? Huh?
It's none of your business, Papa.
But do you guys got paperwork for these kids?
Don't worry about it.
I am worried about it.
Don't worry about it.
I am worried about it. You know, a third of these kids go missing.
I'm sorry.
A third of these kids go missing.
Wow.
This the truth?
It is? I don't know. You tell me.
Correct. That's according to the New York Times article. 1/3 of these kids that dropped off at their spawns. I mean, these look like grown men, though. How old are these kids? You guys work for Compass Connections?
Say so.
Huh?
Say so.
Yes or no?
You didn't answer anything, man.
Okay, that's fine. Well, this is a public place. I'm allowed to film here.
You do whatever you want to do, that's fine.
Okay. Why are you guys so secretive? I'm so curious. Like, what's the big secret here? Hello?
Seems like you know more than us, so.
Huh?
Seems like you know more than us, so you told us so.
Okay, I just don't understand. Well, like, why are you hiding your face, man? What's the big secret? Hey, amigo. Amigo. Amigos. You tell these kids not to talk, huh? Yo, amigo. Damn, man. What's going on here? Hey, can I ask you guys a question? I'm just filming for my own safety. You guys know anything about this?
That happens every day.
About these guys moving these kids to the airport?
That looks like a guy from
Straight up.
he looks like
America.
It's American.
one
It's
of those
America,
cartoon characters.
where we move kids to airports.
You heard that?
You guys proud of what you're doing here? It's pretty wild, man.
Welcome to America.
Yeah, NASCAR right there. Welcome. This guy's
It's pretty wild, man.
Welcome to America.
dude.
So that's not my America, man. This is crazy, man. So first thing, my first reaction was it's sex trafficking. That was my first thing. Kids not in there, right? Young thing. And then I saw they're older. I thought, oh wait, are they old enough to vote? Are they getting in voters now with something on the deal? Like what is going on?
That's scary. And the way they asked the security guard just looked like I'm just here and getting paid, man. This is what I do. Like, I don't really want to get in the middle of it, but yep, this is what we do, man. Just deal with it. Like, can't do anything about it. Like, his body language was like, can't do anything about this, man. I know what
Where was that? Was that in Texas?
It's a good question. I want to say yes, but I want to confirm. Looks like it was.
There's probably so many people don't question that, and it probably happens more often than not. You know, I spent a lot of my time flying for consulting all around America, and I saw some things, but I never whipped out my camera and filmed it. Who's Muckraker anyway? Who's the guy filming that?
They're an independent journalist firm, from what I can understand, and it's through Valley International Airport. So I'm not exactly sure where Valley International Airport is.
Either way, so what's your hunch? My hunch is that it's either sex trafficking or illegal immigrants that they're putting in to help vote for a different election. And I felt bad because they told those kids not to talk. So the guys definitely didn't look up and up. Like, you know, you just have a vibe about people. They don't look like obviously they look secretive, but they just look like, yep, whatever, man. We're not saying anything.
Wrong. Like, what they were doing was wrong, but it also
covered on any other news, or is this just on Twitter?
This, from what I've seen, was on Twitter. I know they briefly showed it on the PBD podcast.
Oh, they did.
Something's up. And then to expand upon this, Ashley St. Clair, who is from the Babylon Bee.
By the way, is my mic working this time?
Yes. Excuse me. I'm going to need to have a cough button. So Ashley St. Clair was on a flight for Delta. And she basically, this was last night. I believe it was last night or 2 nights ago. She posted a video of her trying to get on to a flight. But instead of her being able to get onto a flight, there were all immigrants that were in front of her. So I'm going to show the video. So,
dude, this is like getting out of hand.
This is getting severely out of
hand.
hand.
You know me, dude. I'm all for.
All right. So my Delta flight from Phoenix appears to be flying migrants who cross the border and are being shipped to New York. When I asked the Delta representative if this is the case, his response was, "What does it matter? They're humans too. What is happening?" So let's watch it from the beginning.
I'm at the Phoenix airport right now. I'm waiting to board my flight to New York, to JFK. And it looks like we have a whole lot of migrants who are also boarding this flight that the U.S. taxpayers are paying for. This is what the U.S. taxpayers are paying for right here. Premium seats on Delta that they have people coming here. We're paying for this, shipping them out to New York City because guess what? Everywhere else is at capacity. So they have these sanctuary cities like New York that they're now shipping these migrants to that we're all paying for. I'm at the Phoenix airport right now. I'm waiting.
I thought to myself, Ashley,
dude, I don't even want to talk. I want to run, man. Who's Ashley St. Clair, by the way? Forgive my ignorance.
On the Babylon, she works for the Babylon Bee. When I first watched this, I was like, come on, Ashley. Like, who knows? Like,
yeah, I was kind of like that a little bit too.
Really, really. So basically, what is going on now? If you go onto her X account, basically is the boarding passes are. Well, it's all she's been posting about. Is all right. Let's see. This person other posted, as I'm flying out of Laredo to DFW, I noticed every person in the airport is an illegal migrant. American Airlines rep told me more illegal migrants fly out of this airport on a daily basis than Americans. So she ran an X space. Okay, so yes, all the pilots, airline staff, and passengers want to know is what medical screenings are being done, what security screenings are being done, who is paying for this. I am in possession of a legitimate major airline boarding pass for migrants that quite literally have the name printed as no name given and credited posties without putting their insiders at risk. Working on it. They will continue to unfold over the upcoming weeks, but I confirm these are legitimate boarding passes. I'm at a loss for words, so I'm verifying. Thanks to everybody reaching out. So what is it? Still no response from Delta. She made Fox News. These airlines and government owe answers to passengers, pilots. That's not what I wanted to share. Somebody posted. That's funny. Delta
Airlines
dropping, and they posted a picture of her. Okay, where is it? So basically, what she did was Oh, and Elon Musk posted about this as well. So what happened is she posted an X space, and she had a pilot come on who got basically a burner account and then used something to disguise his voice. So concerning that, pilots are forced to keep their identity secret just to tell the truth. And basically said on this X space of everything that was going on. And they interviewed him. I'm trying to, So here it is. So breaking, O'Keefe St. Clair airline insiders talk migrants and airports. So basically what's happening is the pilots are seeing all this happen, and everybody else from the airports are seeing this happen, but nobody really knows what's going on until right now. Now everybody is like, holy cow, what's going on right now?
Dude, this is crazy. We saw story after story. It's like you can see the demise of America and the political system right here. Because, like, if you have half, and I think it's 8 million migrants who came in since Biden's been, right?
I don't know the number, but that sounds about
well. So think about it. If let's say the election goes the same way, because the whole goal is never Trump, get Trump out, right? The whole deal. Let's say that's the whole poll with everything. And if you're evil genius, and Vinny was saying this in the PPD party, so you almost got to give him credit. And I think, okay, if we can get 8 million people here and give them voting rights right away, and we brought them here, which, by the way, I've been in third world countries. I spent some time in Colombia. I love it. It's nice to be in America. I understand the advantages of being in America. So if I grew up in a third world country, I all of a sudden realized I could go to America, the dream, get on a plane, get on everything, be here. And they said, hey, when you get here, just vote for the guy who brought you here and everything is Biden. We stayed in here. You have the American dream. This company was built on it. I would vote too, right? 100%. Going in their shoes and everything. I don't think any of the migrants are doing anything wrong. I think they're doing exactly what they want to do. I think us as a country is doing what's not in our best interest, but in the best interest of someone who's trying to thwart an election. Like, it's very clear.
It increasingly seems like that. And like, listen, if I'm putting myself on the Democrat side, I would almost be like, yo, slow down. Because if this is what you're actually doing and this is your tactic, it just doesn't look good right now. Like, whatever you're doing just looks bad. It just doesn't look good. So one other story before I want to get into the I think is a good reminder to have. So listen, before I get into this, and I want to talk about and maybe you can spearhead this, but the valuetainments.
Well, are we gonna talk cyber attack?
We can, sure. Yeah, we can. So I think, but I want to talk, I want to bring this up quick because I think this is important for us to talk about. Now, COVID started in March of 2020, and we are all the way at it's almost going to be 4 years from once COVID started, 2024. There was a lot of chaos that happened, and then there was a certain part, like the middle part of COVID, where the vaccines were released, and then it became vaccine versus anti-vaccine. So I'm going to say a couple of bold statements before I start this, but if you are pro-vaccine, take vaccines, good. I'm glad. I'm happy for you. I think you made the right move for you. I hope you're well. I hope you continue to do well, and I encourage you to continuously stay healthy, no matter whether you take a vaccine or not take a vaccine. If you did not take a vaccine, I encourage you to keep up on your health and say, good for you for making the decision that you want to make. There is no flaw on either party. And factually, we know that now because of data, that it doesn't matter if you are vaccinated or not vaccinated. It's really not going to do all that much. So we know that now, but what we didn't know in the beginning was we as consumers. If you look at the data and if you look at the studies, the manufacturers for the vaccines knew that they weren't that strong, but we still, as a country, forced people to try to take this vaccine. It's been 2 years since President Joe Biden and the White House declared a winter of death for the unvaccinated. And I want to play this because I think it's important that we need to be reminded of what they were saying about people who are American citizens who honestly had a choice whether they wanted to take a vaccine that was just newly introduced to the world and said, do I really want to take it or do I not want to take it? It was just newly introduced into the world. We as human beings are flawed. How on God's name are we going to create something that is perfect right off the bat? Maybe I want to wait a little bit, right? That's what people were thinking. And now Joe Biden was saying this.
For unvaccinated, we are looking at a winter of severe illness and death for unvaccinated. For themselves, their families, and the hospitals they'll soon overwhelm. But there's good news. If you're vaccinated, you have your booster shot, you're protected from severe illness and death, period. For unvaccinated,
which, as we all know, wasn't even true anyway, because the vaccine didn't protect you.
Yeah.
So listen, I'm not condemning anybody for taking the vaccine or not taking the vaccine. I know people who have taken and haven't taken it. That right there should be condemned. You don't get to tell people you're going to overwhelm the hospitals and you're going to die because you didn't take something that was just newly invented last year and you're forced to take it. And to me, it was sickening. It was a sickening display of almost tyranny. And I know I sound hyperbolic and I sound overdramatic here, but I want to make sure that we remember this so we never cross this path again. Listen, if this was something that, for people who don't know, the Black Plague killed millions of people. It was so disgusting that that doctors would wear these crow face masks. Wow. I don't know what's happening. Right.
How do you get that? I don't
Wow. Yay! That was cool. But they were wearing these I'm talking something serious and fireworks go off. They were wearing crow face masks, and inside the crow face mask was this medicine that they believe were going to keep them safe from being sick. By the way, spoiler alert, it didn't. But it was such a scary time to live, and people just died, and they asked God why. And thousands of bodies were being buried and buried and buried. That is a pandemic. That is the Black Plague. That was realistic. That was not COVID. And we acted as if that was the case. And I think it's just a reminder that we need to pay attention. We need to be grateful the fact that we have gotten to the point where bacteria doesn't kill us the way it used to. And our survival rate is longer than it used to be. And then we are implementing new things like vaccines to become better, but they're not going to be perfect. And we have the choice whether to say that's something we want to do 100% or to take care of our own body.
Yeah, dude, I'm with you 100%. I think it's crazy and it's good that you remind us of that, because I think so many times we were like so removed from it. And we're just one more pandemic away. Bill Gates is out there saying that we're going to have another pandemic in 2025. Patrick Van David said that we're going to have a cyber attack. He said it's not a moment of when, it's a moment of how. Yeah, it's a matter of when. It's not if, it's when. Zuckerberg, which I don't think we got on, is building a bunker now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Which, dude, like made me think, do I have a bunker here in Midtown Miami? Like, I think building a bunker, dude, that's the new business. As Jeff the Entrepreneur, my $1 billion idea here, build bunkers and sell them, figure out how to do that, man. You know?
Well, I will say survival packs definitely, the sales of them skyrocketed during COVID. So dude, there are companies that have
shout out to you for doing this podcast, because here's the thing. I'm a Christian. I believe in the Lord. You know, we grew up with our dad always talking about the end of the times and the world coming back, right? Who knew that we could go until the cyber attack comes and the next little variant of them doing it, we can broadcast live every single thing and our takes on it. It's actually pretty cool, man. You know?
Yeah, I mean, listen, well, this is broadcasting simultaneously on X, on YouTube, on Facebook. And listen, Facebook, YouTube, they might censor us. We know X won't. So that's why we're shout out to you.
But you, Facebook and YouTube. Sorry, it's late. It's 9:33 East Coast, Miami here, and in Connecticut, simulcasting on the J&J podcast. Click like, subscribe, and share this. As thank you for all 12 subscribers on YouTube. That's the only one I'm really watching. We got to start checking the data. We will. We're in for 1,000 episodes. We're taking on sponsorships. If you want us to read our sponsorships, we'll do that as well. We're going to bring on future guests coming soon. Shout out to Alex viewing in and everybody here on Twitter Spaces as well. And Abdullah, who wants to get on Zoom with me at the end of the night. I've been on Zooms all day.
Real quick, what do you want to wrap up with? Because I know it's getting late, but what stories do you want to wrap up with?
I guess there's nothing really about the cyber attack. Leave the World Behind. Did we discuss that before or no?
I don't think we did. I watched the movie. Did you watch the movie?
I did watch the movie. Patrick and David talked about how he's up till 12:50 in the morning watching it. So I did. I watched it here in Miami, alone in my bed, and it was a weird movie. It was kind of like an M. Night. It was like an M. Night Shyamalan wannabe, but not as good, right? Like they tried to be that way. I knew that where they were getting, it was kind of creepy. Don't get me wrong, but it was like so corny that it almost felt like a Lifetime movie that it wasn't creepy enough, you know?
I was disappointed because I thought it was going to be, and this is effed up to say, but I thought it was going to be way more satanic than it was. Like I thought there was just going to be like they're burning kids at the stake and the satanic Baal statue was going to be walking through and everything like that. It was going to look like a little Nas X video. Which video.
I can see why, because when I first heard about it, it was at the PBD podcast on that morning, and Vinny went on this whole satanic thing. But what Vinny kind of said, and correct me if I'm wrong, if there's any Satanists watch this, you correct me, but which is insane to say, but we do have them out there. They have to predict and put out their evil before they do it, so that they won't get caught by God. That's like is that it? You know more about it than me.
There's a phrase for it, and I forget what the phrase is, but basically it is. I need to let you know something so you can be complicit to it. And if I let you know it and you're complicit to it, then that makes me free of any pain or any judgment that would befall me because I let you know. So if I let you know by kind of giving you a hint at something, then it gives me free from any judgment or any pain that I would feel. So, for instance, I don't know if you noticed this, but let me see. I want to show this real quick.
By the way, every movie, every cartoon, it's all been pre-programming for where we are tonight. I remember when I was a kid watching the Jetsons and then FaceTiming each other before FaceTiming was a thing. The iPhone wasn't around, Josh. Do you remember watching the Jetsons when you were young?
Yes. Yep.
And we're doing it now. And then, like, you look at anything over the time, iRobot, and now you see with the robots jumping around like iRobot with AI taking over and all this stuff. There were a few, and this is what I want to say too. The X-Files was a very thing. Then they came with the Lone Rangers. They basically had planes crashing into a building, and then 9/11 happened. I think it's called, what was the movie about COVID? Was it called Cornelius or something like that?
Oh, Contagion.
Sorry. Contagion was a movie that came out and was like, oh my goodness, this is it. So here's the thing. Cool, we got a cyber attack. And here's the crazy thing. And if you go look at the producer of Leave the World Behind, he was like, oh, Obama was in my ear the whole way through. Obama was so passionate about this film. This is Obama, our former president, who's not very connected, who's maybe pulling the puppet strings on a puppet, which is Joe Biden, who literally looks like a puppet would look better than him sometimes. But Obama is executive producer of a movie predicting out what's going to happen. Like, if that doesn't startle anything, like that's just unbelievable, right? This is the movie he decides to predict and he decides to whisper in. And forget about some of the lines that were in there and stuff that people got mad about. Just the fact that, so now my biggest question for our listeners, what can they do for when the cyber attack happens? And will it happen in the year of 2024?
So I lost internet this morning and I didn't have it and I had to go on a hotspot. And I didn't have it, and my wife and I both work at home. And we couldn't work. And it was frustrating. But we could still use our phones, but our internet was down. And it was frustrating. I thought to myself, man, what if everybody felt this? And what if nobody could communicate with each other on the phone? It's a very scary thought. The one thing that I was trying to pull up was basically the 666, which is the first thing that I noticed when I first watched this.
Wait, I didn't even notice that was in the movie.
Yeah, so I don't know if you could see it. I don't think I can make it.
Yeah, I can see it clearly.
Well, no, this wasn't there, but
I just wanted to point out something that I found in the opening scene of Leave the World Behind, the new movie from Barack Obama. And what I want to point out here, notice in this opening scene they have 2 clocks, all right? They got a regular clock and a digital clock. Notice over here, this clock is at 6 o'clock.
6, there's a 6 right
This clock over here is at 6 o'clock, and they got the number 6 showing with the rest hiding. And notice the coffee mug over here with the number 6 brighter than the number 7. They did this on purpose, guys. Between the coffee mug and the 2 clocks, you have a clear 666. You got a...
So listen, who knows if that's intentional or not, but like, man, why is that there? Why would
he even choose the number 6?
Why would they even do that? Like, what's the reasoning for even doing that? Is that just like a tongue-in-cheek thing of saying, hey, it's the end of the world, we're going to talk about that? And I mean, I don't know. Like, honestly, it's pretty crazy to me.
It's even crazier that it's like hidden and they find it, where if they came out and said it, then it's like, okay, we're playing into it. Either way, man, the movie made me feel exactly like they're predicting this is what's going to happen to cyber attack. So here's what I think you should do in cyber attack. And by the way, for everybody listening, everybody in here, what I'm doing right now is I had an emergency meeting with my business, my virtual assistant business. And I said, guys, we need to build a tangible business here. So because our business, our Changing Life Consulting and our marketing branding business is all virtual. It's all digital course products. If they shut this down, we do not have a business. Like, I'm very clear about that. So now we're building out businesses that are going to be print on demand, social stuff, and we're going to be doing something here in Midtown Miami. I'm actually getting on a call with Abdullah in a little bit. He's over in Dubai to see if there's a way we can do that. My point in saying that, what if it happens tomorrow? Let's say it happens January 1st. Cyber attack happens. Who knows when they're able to turn on? Listen, they blocked Andrew Tate all the way from it. You don't think they can just turn everything off? 100% they can, you know?
I think we're getting close. And
dude, I said at the beginning, and it sucks because now if this is a cyber attack, I can't play back the clips of saying we will not get to the 2024 election. Dude, you put in a cyber attack like that in the movie, and I don't even want to give them ideas, not that they're listening. Dude, we're not getting to election. Forget all the immigrants you have in here, you know?
So all you need to do is a cyber attack the month or the week before the election.
Yeah, November 1st.
And then, by the way, Ukraine cannot do so Zelensky is the president, and they cannot enact a new president because currently they're underneath martial law. So if they're underneath martial law, then they can't get a new president. I need to look into America's rules, but I think it's something similar. If we're underneath martial law, then you can't run an election. So listen, it's crazy that we even have to talk about this. Like, it's insanity to me.
Which, by the way, our whole history, we've had a civil war before. We've actually had a good time when Bill Clinton was in office and all these great people of not having crazy wars, not having craziness. If you look at it as like an innocent bystander, as this is a movie, now we're getting into some exciting times, okay? We're getting people want to conquer the world. We're getting China and Russia. It's getting pretty interesting, okay? But we're getting to the point of where, at worst place, everybody keeps hyping up the worst crash in 2024, year of chaos. I mean, listen, got to be ready. That's why, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's like, I don't know. Like, I feel like we're in a movie and I don't know what's going to happen. But either way, I'm glad I'm in Florida. I'm glad we have what we have. I'm glad I have the right to bear arms here. Just because I believe it's going that way, you know?
So this reminds me of this clip right here. I'm going to play this because we were just talking about the Civil War. And I think this is something funny to play.
About the Civil War?
Civil War was basically just the North just shooting racism out of the South. That's what happened. The North was like, South, can chill. And the South was like, no. So a bunch of guys had to walk down there and shoot him a lot. And they were like, all right, we'll let him go. But we're not going to be nice to him for a while. Until we find out they're good at football and then roll tide. The Civil War was big.
Man, I'm very sensitive towards that stuff. I don't know what it is about me. Like, I think, listen, one of the things about America, and this is maybe, I know it's, I understand it's funny and all that stuff too, but our history, and I mean this, maybe this is more for the liberal side, the fact that we had slaves and everything. And I didn't grow up in that time, right? But we know that as a history, right? This is proven. It's just wrong. You know what I mean? And
listen, 100%, it's wrong. I'm not saying
the Civil War.
This country has ever been. Say with this is the most divided this country has ever been. Say with the red states and the blue states. It's like, why? Because we tweet at each other. You know we had a war, right? You know this country had a civil war? That was pretty divided. Like, at least nowadays we're communicating with each other. Back then, those guys they got the news like once a month. Some guy would come by on a horse and they were like, who's talking shit? And the guy was like, the South is talking shit. They were like, fuck that, I don't like that. Give me my gun, I'm gonna go down there. I'm gonna walk down there for a month straight. Shoot the first fucking guy I see down there. That's how much. This is the...
Actually, I think it's a positive spin on it. I think because we do have Twitter and we do have an outrage culture to a point that we're not doing that. We're not so quick to go to war. Unless it's another people's country, then we'll just give them a ton of money and let them fight.
Yeah, I mean, listen, comedy's there for a reason. I'm not, like, I know how you say like you're sensitive to those type of things, but comedy's there for a reason, man. Like, it's there to laugh at. There's truth in jest, but we're there to laugh at things. And I think freedom of speech hurts comedians the most, to be honest, because then people can't speak or make joke, or a lot of therapeutic ways come from laughing at things or learning to laugh through things. That's why we have comedians and why they're able to, why people love listening to a comedian so much, because it makes them A, forget about things, and B, man, there's so much crazy things going on. It feels better to just laugh at it.
Yeah, no, and you're right. I do think there's a point of that too. I just think, and it's funny, Trump is extremely funny. What was $1 billion and what has $1 billion and what's raccoon and $1 billion? What do they have in common? In my hair, the raccoon doesn't have $1 billion effing dollars, right? And Trump Michelle Obama gives this beautiful speech. My wife gives the exact same speech. Nobody likes it. That is funny. Okay, whatever it is, he's more of a comedian entertainer than he is a president. But he's someone who actually became president and actually did a heck of a job when he was in here. Hate or like the guy, you could just look at where we are now. Anybody can look at it and be like, well, yeah, and so yeah, go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead, finish your thought.
No, and just I think it's very clear that it is okay to laugh. And one thing I do like about Valuetainment, what they're in the media, they're making a comedy channel, right? So they do it on there. One thing I like about their show that they do is when Vinny and Adam get mad at each other across the aisle, they get ticked off with each other, and they literally get mad on the air. And Patrick's like, whoa. That's because I was just trying to think if and maybe we should laugh more in this show and make more of a comedian.
I think we should. We definitely should have, listen, because just reporting on the news is going to be, it's going to be challenging, and it's going to be good.
Yeah, one thing I like about Patrick, he was reporting something today. I forget what it was the other day, and he's reading, he has the printouts, and he's laughing about it. And he had laughing in such a way, and dude, it was like a horrible story. He's like, check this out. I forget what the story was. It was with the girl, Emily, what's her name that was on there?
Yeah, so we could cover the story as well, but basically it was Southwest. I'm about to laugh. Southwest will basically, let's see.
Is it more Southwest is doing what? Yeah, I remember. I forget it. I watched it late at night. That's usually what I do. Plus, what I do for fun at night, and you can ask.
That could be wrong. Okay. Yeah, here it is. Let's see. This is
I gotta see how I can get control of
New
this.
York Post story. Southwest Airlines is praised for customers of size policy that allows overweight flyers to purchase one seat and get another complimentary. Plus size TikTokers are praising Southwest Airlines for its customer of size policy, which allows overweight passengers to request a complimentary seat and forces the flight staff to accommodate larger flyers, even if that means kicking others with tickets off the flight. If you're fat, you know the anxiety of flying, and this alleviates it a lot. Caroline, a traveler influencer who said she's a size 20, told her nearly 200,000 followers in a video posted at the end of October. I had a very comfortable flight, just feeling like I was allowed to take up the space I needed. Under the Texas-based airlines policy, customers whose bodies encroach past the armrest are entitled to an extra seat at no additional cost. It says that passengers have the option of purchasing just one seat and then discussing your seating needs with the customer service agent at the departure gate. My God. So what does this look like? This means I just walk up and I go, hey, listen, put on a few pounds. Not only put on a few pounds, but I'm about to have some muffins, some donuts while I wait for our flight to board. And yeah, that's you. You tried to join in on your phone.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, right.
So
I'm messing around. I can share my screen here too, which is good to know.
Yeah, I made you an administrator. I was gonna tell you after we told the story, but since you rudely interrupted the story,
sorry.
Now we can't talk about it. So, like I was saying, all we need to do is go to Southwest. So, Jeff, when I come see you in Miami, I'm gonna book a Southwest flight. I'm going to tell the person at the desk that I've gained a few pounds and I'm planning on packing on a few more. I know we have an hour until boarding. I'm going to have some donuts. I'm going to have some avocados. I'm going to have some burgers, some onion rings. And it's possible that I'm just going to spill over the armrest and see if they give me 2 seats for the price of 1. Because isn't it such a great feeling? Remember when we were flying during COVID? Like you got on a flight and nobody was on the flight and flight was like $20. And you got on the flight and nobody was on the flight and you just sat down.
That's when I built my consulting business.
Like this.
I felt like I was flying private. I know, it was awesome. Where did you fly during COVID? Oh yeah, you flew to Texas with me.
Texas, Vegas. I think I went to Florida too. All during COVID. And I was like, man, this is the way to fly, bro. Like nobody was on the flights.
Yeah.
And it was, you just left to yourself. You could fall asleep. You could stretch out. It was crazy. But anyway, listen, I think customer of size, listen, this is not a popular way to say this, but it is unhealthy to be overweight. I am currently overweight right now. I'm a 5'8", 5'9" guy, and I weigh 173 pounds. My ideal weight is between 150 to 160, and I weigh 173. I am overweight. I am. And there's no two bones about it, or whatever they like to say. I weigh a lot. So I need to lose some weight, and I'm going to. I always lose weight when it comes to January, but I've gotten a little...
Well, tomorrow, at 12 o'clock, I believe I'm in it, I joined Alpha Slice's incubator. You know Alpha Slice, right?
Yes.
So he has this fitness program, so I'm going to do that too. So maybe we could share. No, let's share our in January. Let's share whatever plan we want to do.
Yeah, so I'm probably going to follow a plan by Chris Gethin. I also do some fasting. I will do some different tactics.
We'll have to bring Chris on. Chris has agreed several times to come on the show, and I felt like it would be right for you. So maybe we could bring him on at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, definitely we should. So this is what I think. I think we should start booking more guests on the show. And the whole goal of the show is we can talk, business, current events, media, But when we have somebody on, I want to talk about that person. I want to talk about where they came from, where they're going, what they add to the marketplace. And we could talk a few stories as well. But basically, if we're going to bring somebody on, I want to talk about that person's life. You know what I mean?
Almost kind of like what PBD did with Usman.
Yeah, very similar. Like with Joe Rogan, he doesn't have a Joe Rogan podcast. He has the Joe Rogan Experience. And the Joe Rogan Experience is he always has a guest on.
Yeah.
And he'll touch on other different things going on, but he always talks to the guest. For you and me, I think this is a good podcast to have because we can just talk about whatever. But I want to sprinkle guests in, absolutely, throughout the show.
All right, why don't we tease what we do next close? Why don't we hold off the top, because we'll have a show before the end of the year, the top 50 most influential people by it, and what we're going to do and setting out our goals and maybe submitting your goals as well. I'll do this before everything for 2024, how we can maybe hit the goal of the top media as well.
Yeah, I love it. So we'll be doing that. Guys, if you are new to the show, thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.
Recording in progress.
Why would you do all that? It's because
Recording stopped.
Jeff is, by the way, you're going to find there's going to be a common denominator without this show. We're going to get 1,000 episodes in, and Jeff is going to do certain things that just piss me off. And he's just going to do it, and he's going to like start filming. He's going to start adding things, and it's just going to add to the fun of the show. But like that stuff, what he just did right there, just frustrates me because the listener is going to be listening to him and go, well, "What's going on here?" It just seems unprofessional. Anyway, please support this loving show that is filled with love, brotherly love, and our whole goal is to bring to the forefront the things that need to be talked about and talk about it in a positive manner and how can we change it to be better, because there's a lot of chaos going on, and I believe that 2024 is going to be a year of chaos. And subscribe to the channel right now because Jeff and I are going to help you get through it, because we're going to get through it together. And that's all I got. You got anything, Jeff?
No, sounds good. Click like, subscribe, share this. If you want to be a sponsor or a guest, reach out to me. Best way is support@getclc.com, support@getclc.com. And we'll have our booking manager and our sponsor person get back to you. This is going to be a very legitimate media company in 2024 as we're putting all the spots in, video editing, and doing a whole process for it. So support@getclc.com, or you can always shoot me and follow me at DM with questions and topics you want to see us share at Jeff the Entrepreneur.
Be great, guys. We love you. Have a great Christmas.
Merry Christmas.